Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Tuesday, June the 5th. This will serve as our chart lesson for the day, and it was a fairly simple today. We had an uptrend for the most part. We had this little two-legged correction in here, and then another trend up that wasn't quite as steep as this one. Um, we had a news item in there this morning that gave us a little bit of a boost. Uh, but for the most part, this is one leg up, two-legged correction, and the start of the next leg up, and looks like we're going higher. And let's just see where our target's probably going to be. It's probably going to be more. It's probably going to be something like that. So I'm looking to us probably to go back and test this 1294 maybe. It could be. This is a failed break higher right here, so it could be that we're just going to work up to about right here, which puts us not much difference, maybe a point or two, but I'm thinking that's probably our target area, 1292 to 1294 area. So that's what I'm looking at myself. Of course, this is going to probably happen in the overnight, and you see the trend channel line tends to be holding it right there in the overnight already. But anyway, back to the lesson. First leg up, two-legged correction, and now the second leg up, and that's what we're looking at. And this is just a two-legged correction. We had this trend line working up during the morning, and we had a break here, a run to a new high. Then we had a little bit of this sell-off. We had a little trend coming down, a break, and then moved to a new low, and then the next trend started up, and it's just the next leg up, in my opinion. We already had this one going, so. But let's look at each trade. Let me back out a little bit and get a little better view. And this one came right at the open, and really you had multiple reasons. You had a 1, 2, 3 triple bottom, really 4 test of that low right there. And on a bigger picture, let me show you one leg back, pull back, second leg back. That's a two-legged move back to the trend line, the EMA. You didn't really know for sure you had this trend line in place. It was probably more like that right there. So you may not have realized you had this in place yet, but you can see it right there if you drew it off those first couple of swings. So it really would have worked either way, no matter how you drew that, whether you drew it off the low or you drew it off those first two swings there. But it should have got you in the same place. But even if you didn't see the trend line yet, which you may not have, you should have been aware that you got this was resistance. Notice how we had a little double top across here, a little breakout pullback long, and then a two-legged correction back to the EMA. We had the strong support, so this was a nice chance to go long right here on a second entry long above this nice bullish bar, and it was a nice quick easy trade. Your runners were probably safe, should have been safe on this trade, and you could have got a anywhere in here from 70, even if you entered at 73 to about a 10-point move or so. You definitely probably should have exited right in here. I did, and it turned out to be the right move. You know, you can't always get every bit of the move, and if you didn't get some of this, don't beat yourself up, because it's hard to get all the move. If you can get, if you can get somewhere 75 or 80% of the move, you're doing really, really well. And there was another second entry long right in here. I did not mark this one. You see your pullback, first entry long, pull back again, then your second entry long right here. But there's so many overlapping bars. We didn't quite get back to the EMA or the trend line, and so that makes it suspect. So it was better to wait and enter on this breakout pullback long right here. And again, this is a two-legged pull back to the EMA, the trend line. So going long right there is another good trade. And there it was, off to the races again. So those were your first two really good entries, and they were really good moves as well. And you might have gone long right here, but really this was a trading range. You can see the multiple highs, the multiple lows, and this should be back up here. And so by the time this one took off again, there wasn't very much room right here, and we did, it's not much of a break of a trend line, so you're expecting to go to a new high. So it's possible you could have got trapped right there. And if you did, I would have at least given it a few ticks down here, and hopefully you might have survived that. But this was the better entry right here. Go long right above that bullish bar right there, your signal bar, and up to a new high. And this was the first real break of the trend line. We broke it a little bit here, but we never really had a close outside it, nor down here. So this was really the first break. We ran to a new high and then eventually and immediately sold off. And there was a breakout pullback short right here. You can see that prices were coming down. They're making lower highs and each time, and then we broke lower, turned back up, touched the trend line to the tick. That's the the third touch. Nice bearish reversal bar. So you could have gone short right there. Another easy scalp. Probably didn't get any runners there, but it's an easy scalp. And by the time this short set up, this bar is not bearish enough. This one's so bearish that it's way down here, so it's getting risky. So I didn't like this setup right here. And really what this was a pullback to test this breakout. Notice how we broke out here and never tested that. So if you draw your support line right across there, you should see that that's what that was. That's the pullback to test this area, and then we go higher again. And they're really, and I didn't mark a long here because we got a trend line that tends to be holding. So there's no real reason to be thinking long yet, although it would have worked. So if you saw that and went long right there, it is a second entry long right above this bar. And it definitely worked, but I don't like it because there's no trend line break of that trend line. You can see that's a valid trend line. It's held on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches, 6, 7, 8 times it held before prices finally got above it. So there's a good chance we're going to come back and test this low again. And here you are, you got a double top basically here. This side's a little lower. It's not a perfect double top, but it's close enough. And the main thing is there's a failed second entry long here, so there's definitely going to be trap short. So there's a trap right here, a long trap, and you go short right below that bearish bar, and it's a nice move down to a new low after the trend line break. So then your trend line rules have come into play. They've, here's your break of your trend line, move down to a new low, and then now we can work higher again. And so there was a nice short right there. And then after your trend line break and you move to a new low, now you got a double bottom across here. Depending on how you draw it. I think I had mine drawn across those two closes right there. That's still a double bottom basically right across there. You got a little failed breakout. You run to a new high. You come back and you make a higher low right there where that previous low was. And so that's a good long right there with the idea that prices are probably coming back to here. Easy scalp. You may not have got any runners out of this one. I can't remember if there were runners on this one or not. Let me just look real quick and see. If you entered above that bar, it was 77.75, and it came to here. And yeah, so your runners would have been good on this trade. You did catch a runner on that one, and so that was a great entry right there off that little failed break lower. And hopefully you saw that one. And again, remember you got your two legs right here. Here's one leg, correction, then the second leg down. And you usually see that in the middle of a pattern. And now look where we're headed over here. We're headed higher, and I guarantee we're headed to that target I was talking about earlier. And we'll see, maybe by the time the lesson's over, we'll see if it gets up there or not. But this is the second entry long. You needed to wait on a more bullish bar, which was right here. And really by the time it formed, it was too big to really be going long above. But then look what happened. We had this little prices turn back down again, and we ticked lower right there, made that trap, and that turned and closed on the very high. So when that went lower and then turned and went higher, you could have gone long right there or right here. And either way, it was off to the races to the upside again. Your runner should have been good, and you could have ridden this out up to this double top, or at least up to this one right here. And that's 81 to 85. That's 4, 5, 6 points in there that you could have had on that entry right there. And then this over here is another little double bottom right there. It's a second entry long. Notice the two legs back. One leg, pull back, second leg, and then going long above that bar right there that made you got a double bottom even down here. And but this was probably more the support I saw right here, because it touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those are the closes, and then it just kind of broke lower. And so there's you a nice failed break lower when you're expecting prices to go higher. Easy scalp, and then that was pretty much it. It was after 2 o'clock after that. I didn't mark any of these others. You can see where this line right here is just a copy of this line here, you see, and I drug it up here at the top, and you can tell where the prices were probably going to turn each time. So there was a great entry here, but it was definitely way too late, and you can see what happened. That's your key entry point off the trend line, and even there that late in the day, it was a good entry. And of course we wouldn't want to take that late in the day, but that's another reason why once we got out past here, I didn't like this much anymore, because you got to figure prices are trying to work back to this trend line, and this is where you're going to find your best entry when it comes back to here. So, and that was pretty much it for the day. But really, it was mostly all up today, and if you didn't take any shorts, you didn't necessarily do wrong, because it mostly was up all day long. But this correction lasted from 9 o'clock to about 11:30, so 2.5 hours. That's a long time to be sitting doing nothing. So there were some shorts in there, and there was a long in there. And if you saw any of those, great job. The price action has been a little strange lately. As much as we were headed down, now we seem to be headed back up again. Every time some news comes out, they want to rally the market. And so we'll see what happens over the next few days. But that's pretty much it for the day. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.